Welcome to another edition of Anglican Unscripted. This is episode 268, a breaking news edition. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. Today's February 6th, 2017.
Okay, George, it's not often that we're recording one episode and breaking news that we could put into another episode occurs. Anglican Community is really not a breaking news episode type place unless there's a primates meeting or a Lambeth going on, or especially a general convention from the Episcopal Church. However, we were just sitting in our offices today, and George says, "You're not going to believe this. A bishop has been arrested."
Two bishops.
I'm like, "Oh, tell me what the Episcopal Church has just done, George. This is amazing." He says, no, it's overseas." "All right, what happened in Europe? Tell me." "No, it's in Africa." "Well, all right, what's going on, George?"
In Tanzania, Bishop Valentino Mokiwa of Dar es Salaam and Bishop Michael Hafid of Zanzibar were arrested on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the police blotter here in front of me. And
Okay.
The Tanzania story keeps unfolding, and really this is going to be a problem for GAFCON eventually, the international entity. How do they respond to internal dissension within one of their member provinces? But
they're not descending from GAFCON. They just have conflict amongst themselves. There's derision inside of Tanzania right now.
And it's basically going to be getting worse, and the province might split. What's going on? Well, as our viewers know, Valentino Mokiwa was deposed by the primate, Jacob Chimiladaya, last December in the wake of a corruption investigation. Now, Valentino has refused to accept this ruling. And the backstory is the House of Bishops gave Jacob the authority, after they received the report into Bishop Valentino, to have Jacob discipline him. Essentially, they said, have him pay the money back, make it right, just let's clean up this mess.
They didn't say fire him. All they said was make it right.
Make it right. Essentially, that's it, make it right. And Jacob went and fired him. And Valentino said, no, I'm not moving. And the rest of the bishops said, wait, we didn't say fire. We said make it right. Mm-hmm. Well, last Saturday, the Diocese of Kabondo had a consecration. And the Tanzanian bishops usually have a House of Bishops meeting whenever they have a consecration, because they're all there. Jacob, in the run-up, Archbishop Jacob, said, look, you don't all have to come because I don't want to call a primates meeting. And, I don't want to call a bishops meeting. Because I'm not really ready to deal with this issue of Valentino Mokiwa. Well, Valentino showed up at the consecration with his friend, the Bishop of Zanzibar, Michael Hafid, and then a shouting match began. Jacob came with a friend of his who happened to be an officer from the security services. And after things got out of hand, Jacob had the Bishop of Dar es Salaam and the Bishop of Zanzibar arrested for disturbing the peace. They were booked, jailed, spent a few hours in the pokey in Kabondo, and then were told, go back to your hotel, go to bed, get out of town the next morning. So they have been released on their own cognizance. But what's going on? February 28th, there is a hearing scheduled for Jacob, for a suit by Valentino against Jacob for misuse of the canons. Mm-hmm. Valentino had a big interview in the Dar es Salaam newspaper, which I had to translate it. I don't speak Swahili, oddly enough, so I had to translate it painstakingly to make sure I understood what was going on.
Thank you, Google
In this interview,
Translate.
Valentino is saying that this is all a plot, that this is a trumped-up investigation charge, and it all goes back to the election for primate. Now, you remember, Kevin, we reported that election, Jacob, backed by American money, defeated Mokiwa. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? meaning money was handed out and bribes were paid for people to change their votes. And that money came from the United States. Jacob was elected. Now, Mokiwa, when he was primate, Tanzania was in the GAFCON camp. It didn't take U.S. money, and it kept its distance. Under Jacob, the Virginia Theological Seminary supports the provincial seminary. There are American missionaries in Tanzania, and American money helps run the provincial office. So basically, they went from being in the GAFCON camp to the Episcopal camp, Tech camp. Then we had the January Primates gathering in Canterbury. And at that gathering, Jacob switched sides. He left the Episcopal, he became a GAFCON primate.
Yeah.
And GAFCON was so excited, he became the golden boy of GAFCON. In fact,
didn't he, if I remember correctly, didn't he give a sermon at the installation of
Jackson Ole Sapat, the new Archbishop of Kenya? The new Archbishop of Kenya, in fact, they snubbed Justin Welby. Usually Justin Welby was invited to come and sit in the congregation, but not to give a sermon. And they invited the new Archbishop of Tanzania. So GAFCON is celebrating that Tanzania is back on board. However, Mokiwa points out, the American missionaries are still there, the American professors are still running the seminary, and the American money is still paying for the provincial office.
Sure.
Mokiwa is running for re-election, and he says this is all a plot to unjustly smear him, a plot to put the church in the camp of the liberal West. And of course, Jacob denies all this stuff. Everybody's denying it, and there's lawsuits galore. But I think, Kevin, it would be safe if you and I not set foot in Zanzibar for a little while.
Well, it's odd because that's where we struck up our friendship, at the bar, drinking diet sodas and real sugar Pepsis. And I think you got sick in Tanzania, if I remember correctly, at the White Sands Hotel.
I think it was dengue fever or
it was
cholera. But
we were having lunch, and you disappeared for like 36 hours.
Well, the problem for GAFCON is Mokiwa and Jacob are rival claimants. One is an evangelical, one's an Anglo-Catholic. Both are accusing each other of corruption. Corruption, either taking money from the Episcopal Church, corruption taking money from your diocesan coffers. Each want to be recognized as the GAFCON leader. What does GAFCON do? The province may split. It may split between an Anglo-Catholic. It may split on tribal lines with the Gogo tribe, which is centered around central Tanganyika, Dodoma, and, if you will, the coast and the south and around Lake Victoria Nyanza up in the northwest, being another province. It may split Anglo-Catholics and evangelicals. What does GAFCON do with a dysfunctional province within its grip?
We've not heard anything. I talked to some people who said that yes, they need to be more upfront about this and put out some information. We'll have to see what happens. George, that's a quick update. What do we do this in? 8 minutes. That's amazing. Now, this is the only place that has this type of information. You don't find bishops arrested. That's a great sounding topic. That often in the news. And so we were happy to provide it here at Anglican Unscripted. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. And you've been watching episode 268 of Anglican Unscripted.